Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you today. We got Jim Cramer from CNBC talking about Credit Suisse. I'll let you make up your own mind. Joe Lubin calls Gary Gensler the shining knight of decentralization. You're going to have to hear it to believe it. ETH, New York, the case. It could be a security. We need to talk about it. We sit down with the one and only Meta lawman, James Murphy, to do just that. He says it's very suspicious what went on there. And we discuss an outright win for Ripple in the SEC versus Ripple XRP and so much more. XRP screaming for a breakout? One technical analyst says it is. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $1.11 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency. Good afternoon. The market is now off by 5.6%. Bitcoin 24,400 plus, Ethereum 1,600 plus, Tether market cap 73.5 billion plus, and XRP is 36 cents right now, off by 6.5% in the last 24 hours. Well, let me tell you some good news. Ripple Labs has been restocked on Link2's investment platform. Come on in. Yeah, but here's the deal. With an investment minimum of only $5,000, it's usually $10,000. With the settlement expected any minute now, visit the website for compelling offering in the Link2 portfolio company, Ripple Labs. I tell you, it is a great question. How much longer do we have to get this stuff? Brad Garlinghouse has made it obvious they want to have a public exit. They look to IPO once the case has been settled or ruled upon so they can move forward. When that is, I don't know, but we know we're days, if not weeks here from some kind of a ruling of some sort. So very, very exciting, and you never know how much of that is left. Click the link underneath the video. Corium, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, 7,000 transactions per second. Yeah, come on in. Stably, the USDS stablecoin built off of Corium using those smart contracts. That's right. And we know USDS Stably is the stablecoin on the XRP ledger. Is a hell of a connection. I'm looking to learn a lot more at Corium's mainnet. Just 9 days, 6 hours, counting down from now, and seeing Bob Ross, Fabio, Otto, and the whole team there. I look forward to it, no doubt about it. I will fill all of you in on everything I learned. And speak of filling us in, it's Ron Hammond filling all of us in this week in Congress and crypto. Lots of questions and not many answers. Policymakers have been getting briefed by regulators daily on SVB, Silicon Valley Bank. This story will be front and center of nearly every policy debate, including crypto, in the banking committees. Here's the latest. It is pretty interesting to watch the TradeFi policy world deal with the sheer information flood that is Twitter. For many crypto folks, this is standard, but not as often for TradeFi folks. Regardless, there is much noise than substance, and it's causing problems. DC sees a huge sector devastated by a crisis and is now looking for a culprit. It seems as if mainstream R's are placing the blame on the Fed supervisors, and mainstream D's are saying that the 2018 bill, S2155, which made changes to Dodd-Frank, remember 17 Senate D's voted for it. There are a variety of other culprits that DC is throwing out there. Some are pretty far-fetched, like the woke culture, and others are more serious, like interest rates and higher and lower capital requirements for certain banks. Most banking policymakers know crypto isn't at fault. That's good to know. The main thing to keep in mind is that the facts still aren't clear, but DC is expected to have answers for the media and the voters. Some are matter of fact, others are use the crisis to forward their policy and personal objectives in the matter. And it says here, as they say in DC, never let a good crisis go to waste. This needs to have an answer combined with a fevered pace of Twitter is creating a whole mess and mixed messages. The fact findings of this instance will take months. It says here, but sadly, since each camp has had to give its particular take, we are seeing a growing partisan divide. There are some people, however, raising the alarm over comments from current and former policymakers on crypto being the culprit, but it is a very small group. These comments come from those who were never supporters of crypto and are using this crisis to achieve other policy goals. So, where should crypto be concerned? The growing partisan divide could bleed into other issue areas like stablecoin legislation, which has been bipartisan since day one, and two, who provides banking services to crypto folks after this collapse. Some are saying they can't get access to a bank account. Others are saying no problem. Like many of the issues plaguing what's real or not in the SVB context, I think the truth will be clear soon. Right now, there is a lot of noise, and dust needs to settle first. DC will focus on this event for months to come, so even though crypto isn't at fault or major focus, expect policymakers to bring up bank failures in all crypto conversations going forward, such as FTX changed every conversation on the Hill, SVB and Signature will as well. There you go. You can check out all the other details on Thinking Crypto and his sit down there with Tony. So shout out to them for that. This is something you need to see. This is Jim Cramer. He's at it again, as DAI says. You know, it seems whatever Jim is out here, talking about in the streets or on his channel here, it just feels to me like whatever he's saying is leading the masses to slaughter, is what it feels like. 8 days before Lehman Brothers collapsed, Jim Cramer was out here telling you don't leave it. Just days or weeks before we saw the SVB collapse, he was doing the same thing. You can make these examples over and over and over again, and I hope that this is not another one.
Andrew's so wrong,
Credit Suisse. Credit Suisse,
Andrew,
Jim.
you got it so wrong. You know why you got it wrong?
Tell me.
Because Gary Gensler's back at the office. It changed everything. No fireplace behind that man.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you
Am I
don't
right or
have a
am I
take.
right, Andrew?
Yeah, that part is true. That part is true. What do you make though? Real quick, Credit Suisse. You have a take? Have a
Leslie
view?
Picker said everything this morning. They have the right amount of common equity. So I'm going with Picker against all the Bears.
Okay.
Picker's my pick. He's mainstay.
All right, Jim.
And we all know what happens when Jim tells you he's bullish on something. Let's hope that it doesn't pan out. But here we see from Watcher Guru, just in, $578 billion asset bank Credit Suisse CEO says their liquidity base is strong. Now, I don't know if they watched Jim and saw what he had said and figured they'd come out and shore everything up. But the cynical side of it can't help but feel like Ashley Prosper here. Translation, we're about to be insolvent and our executives are likely selling off their holdings as we speak. Please keep your money with us until we have sucked you dry. I mean, you can't help but feel there's a cynical side to these things. And boy, I tell you, talk about cynical sides here. Look, we know ETHgate was real. I'll be quick and I'll be clear. And I fought to help expose it. I think DAI gets credit for doing the great work to expose it and really bring it to light. And then a lot of us, came in behind to support the effort to show that we did not have a level playing field. Do I believe that Ethereum should be sued? Yes, I do. Do I believe they should be fined? Yes, I do. Do I believe that they deserve to be a security? No, I do not. There's a difference. Right? And amongst the grown-ups, I think we do all get that. And shout out to DAI for finding this clip, because you're not going to believe what Joseph Lubin's saying right now. And let us listen to this clip and understand that this is March 14th, yesterday, right? And look, here's what we need to know. The Attorney General from New York is suing that ETH is a security. Now listen to what he says here about Gary Gensler at the SEC.
It's also true that a lot of tokens look like securities. It's also true that many offerings that at first glance don't look like securities are doing subtle things that the SEC, I think rightly, is pointing out are are not purely decentralized. So Kraken, big fan of Kraken, but they did offer a staking product that had significant elements of centralization, and they were in control of a lot of stuff, and so that essentially makes it a security. If you advertise your very decentralized thing in such a way that it sounds like people are going to be able to make money based on your effort, then just that language can make it a security. So I actually think that, and this will be a little controversial, I think that Gary Gensler and the SEC are doing a great job of driving projects in our ecosystem to radically decentralize themselves. I could even call Gary the shining knight of decentralization.
Oh boy.
The shining knight of decentralization. Let me tell you what, we'll see how much he feels like that, because I want you to listen to this clip, and to be truthful, I've got to play the whole clip. I can't. The whole interview is amazing, and I'll be releasing that over the weekend, and you're going to want to see the entire interview of sitting down with Meta Lawman James Murphy, who breaks down exactly what was going on here with this New York Attorney General and the Ethereum as a security case. It could have huge implications on the Ethereum network, digital assets, and every token project built on the Ethereum network. And it could happen very fast. And who's there to stop the claim should it take place? Listen to how all of this went down. It's very important. And shout out to James Murphy for sitting down with us.
For a lot of reasons, one of which is this thing in New York could be on a very fast track.
Yeah.
What happened there is very, very suspicious. So they used one of their investigators. Is it all right if I talk about that
Absolutely.
case?
Absolutely.
But what happened was the New York AG tapped one of their internal investigators who works in that office, and they were told, go open an account on KuCoin and see if a New York resident can open an account, trade, because that would be violative of New York law. Sure, because you have to have a bit license to engage with New York residents. So I don't know how he managed to do it, he, the investigator, but he did. And so he opened an account on KuCoin, which I think is headquartered in the Seychelles Island. Here's the interesting part, Brad. There are 700 tokens listed on the KuCoin exchange. This investigator was told to buy Ethereum, and as well as the Do Kwon Terra Luna.
Yeah.
But Ethereum. Wonder why that was. There's 700 of these. He was told, go buy Ethereum, buy it, sell it, so you can say, I've traded it, I'm a New York resident, and then we'll file a lawsuit. And then here's the other tricky part, Brad, is KuCoin did not respond to a subpoena issued prior to the case being filed. And my guess, total guess, I haven't seen anything from KuCoin about this case. Not on their Twitter account. I haven't seen it. They didn't respond to the subpoena. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the New York Attorney General strongly suspects that KuCoin's not going to defend the case at all.
Right.
And that they can go, the AG can go to a court in New York and say, we want an injunction, giving us everything that we've asked for, and a declaration that Ethereum is a security. And that can happen quite fast, way, way before there's any trial in Ripple. And I believe there's a possibility, I have no evidence, this isn't a rumor, this is James Murphy's speculation, that the SEC was embarrassed with what was happening in the San Diego federal court case, where they had to say, we haven't decided, or else Fred Rispoli has then a legitimate case that's going to go forward if the SEC security. So they were stuck and had to say, we haven't made up our mind, therefore let's dismiss this case. Meanwhile, at about this same time, the AG starts this investigation, tells the investigator, go buy Ethereum so that we'll have a premise for a lawsuit against the defendant who may not even show up to defend, and we can get a declaration that it is a security. Well, this makes John Deaton's effort in signing up Ethereum holders extremely important, because he could be the only one there if he intervenes on behalf of, last I heard he said he had 1,000, who had signed up. There may not be any KuCoin, and it might just be John Deaton, which, I see this stuff happening, and I think to myself, does John Deaton literally have to do everything, for this crypto community? Thank God he's a Marine through and through and will take on any fight. I don't know how he has the time, but, kudos to him. I'm going to do personally everything I can to support him. But I'll tell you what, that New York AG case is extremely suspicious.
Well, I appreciate you shedding light on it, and it does feel suspicious. And when you talk about think about the idea of Ethereum, everyone's saying it's decentralized, regardless of understanding that JP Morgan's got a huge hand in this in the backside of it. Who shows up? Like, to your point, outside of John Deaton, I mean, is it consensus? Is it Joe Lubin? Like, who is actually going to show up? Is it people from the Ethereum Foundation that are going to show up? Because if they do, now they're representing it, and that even makes more to the point that it's actually a security because you're there. So it's...
Well, Brad, that's a fantastic point. Certainly occurred to me. You would think that Vitalik and Lubin and the foundation understand what's going on. I mean, their entire lives will be changed if the United States, if New York says it's a security.
Yeah.
So you would think their inclination would be to run into court immediately and to stop it and intervene in the case. But you make a great point. You really are thinking things through like a lawyer. There's this risk of appearances of, see, it is centralized. These are the guys who run the show. It's a security. They're promoting, whatever. It's a two-edged sword and a tough decision. But ultimately, I cannot see how you don't take some action when the implications are huge for them and for every single project built on the Ethereum network.
There you go. And I tell you, the implications are gigantic. And because he said that if they were to pull this off, it could happen very fast. And if it happens very fast, you have to wonder if the SEC impresses a letter to the judge about this decision to make her aware of this ruling, should they get that ruling very fast, if the ruling's not been made in this case yet. This is the most fascinating thing I've ever followed in my life. It really is. I know I've said it before. But right here is two more brilliant people. It's John Deaton himself and J.W. Verrett talking about what if Ripple were to have an outright win. You need to hear this quick clip, and then you need to hear the one where we ask James Murphy the same thing.
You almost want an XRP.
What do you think that if Ripple were to get an outright win, do you think that would slow? If Judge Torres comes in and just rejects the SEC's theory, because, as you know, the SEC didn't necessarily limit it to just specific transactions that Ripple said, and said that specific offering and sale was a security. But with this, the token itself embodies all of the efforts and promises and inducements Ripple made, and XRP itself represents a common enterprise and also, the expectation of profits. If she just flat out rejects their theory, and do you think that will be a big slowdown? Or do you think Gary's just going to say facts and circumstances and move on to the next one?
That would be a big win. That might slow him down. I think if if it's more of a win on the fair notice argument alone, because you can see a judge seeing an easy way to kind of resolve the case, just focusing there, that would obviously have a lot less implications for all the other follow-on cases. And I think the SEC would be unlikely to challenge that. If they lose on that, it doesn't cause presidential issues for them in other cases, so they might just let that lie.
Doesn't cause presidential issues in other cases, so they might just let that lie. So take a listen.
But if it's a bigger win, then the SEC is going to quickly appeal it, and they're certain to appeal it. So in some sense, if you're a Ripple holder, you almost want an XRP holder, because they're very different. If you're an XRP holder, yeah, you almost want a very thin win. You want a win on fair notice alone, I guess.
Okay, now, thank you to those gentlemen for that. Now, let's quickly listen to James Murphy talk about what happens if Ripple wins here and how XRP would be a unique position because it would be the only token to have a seal of approval from a federal judge giving it clarity. Take a listen to this.
And I think you and I talked about it last time. What happens if Ripple wins round one at the trial court, or wins to a degree that there's a determination that XRP trading now is not a security? Then it's on to Coinbase and Gemini and the rest of them. Are you going to relist XRP, or are you going to wait for the Second Circuit Court of Appeals? Well, if you think about it, Ripple would be unique. It would be the only token that's got a declaration from a federal judge that it is not a security. So in my mind, it gets hard to not list it, because none of the other tokens you have on your platform at fill-in-the-blank exchange have that seal of approval of a federal judge. I think it tips things dramatically, even though the SEC would come out immediately, say, we disagree, we're going to appeal, judge got it wrong, here's why, whatever. The fact remains that an unnamed exchange may be listing 200, 300 tokens. One of them has the judicial determination it's not a security. One of them that's not listed has this judicial determination. So there's a really, really good argument that it should be changes.
Now, listen, honestly, I think we're trying to look at both sides, too. This thing could go to distance. It could go in favor of the SEC. Right. And there's 3 more years of global adoption and no U.S. adoption. So I just want to, level a playing field out there.
Yeah, that's right. And the people.
There you have it. So if we were to win at the level like discussed previously with John Deaton, J.W. Verrett, and what we were discussing here with James Murphy, we would be looking at a unique position for XRP to be the only token, the only digital asset to have the seal of approval from a federal judge giving it clarity in the crypto space. Now, what would that look like? I have no idea. But I tell you what, to double triangles is looking like the egg rag crypto, though. He says, honestly, the chart is screaming for a breakout. FYI, breakout can be both directions, up or down. Keep that in mind now. That's what we love about him. However, my conviction in this camp is that the breakout will be to the upside. From the TA perspective, XRP is ready for a pump. If you take a look at here, you're looking at that pump going to the downside, the side we do not want to see. We've been seeing for far too long. It's 35 cents. But nevertheless, if it breaks to the upside, we get to 70 cents. It looks like we could be clear sailing for 458. I have no problem with any of it. I'm a perma bull, so if it goes 35, I'm filling my bag. If it goes to 70, I'm enjoying what's happening. If it goes to 458, I'm really getting excited. But that's going to do it for me. It's not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.